Yo. Wait, can you hear me? Here, let me take this shit off of. Hold on, let me take this.
You said what?
All right, I said let me take it off Bluetooth. What you saying?
No, that was good, bro.
Oh, not much, not much. I actually want to ask this question because me and Ash were talking about this, or Ash and we were talking about this, bro. Why does Luka not receive any criticism, bro?
What for? What's going on in
Yeah,
Dallas?
like
I have no idea. He's like I'm gonna keep it all stacked. He's like 1B in terms of who to blame. I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't.
which is
First,
so is I don't understand how that's like. Why is that such a hard pill for people to swallow? Like, why is that like? And
but don't you think like with any superstar,
it,
like
like
they like
literally
there's a
any superstar, it would have been like some questions behind it. And I'm like reading my replies, and people have like every excuse in the book. Like just FYI for y'all niggas who don't know, um, like people saying, oh, he's young and he's young and like, nigga, earlier this year, people were killing Trey Young because he got another coach fired. We were just doing it this year, and
oh man,
and what's even crazier is people were
yeah, facts.
criticizing Trey for his inability to play defense as well. Like, what the fuck y'all talking about, y'all? I just want to paint the picture for y'all real quick. Let's paint this picture and why I brought up James Harden. I want any of you all to take the time out, compare what that nigga Luka looks like today in contrast to what he looked like 2-3 years ago. Similar to Harden, this nigga just put on weight. I don't get it.
Respect Luca's
Yeah,
brute
oh,
strength. I don't.
yeah, that's what they call it, the brute strength. Also, Luka, I don't know if y'all noticed, bro. Like, he has some of the worst mannerisms and tendencies of any superstar. Like, he has like Chris Paul level of like ref complaining, LeBron level of like not giving a fuck to run back on defense. The defense as a whole is, I wouldn't say is as bad, but it's getting up there to like 2015, 2016 James Harden effort.
Oh
And then the
shit,
nigga doesn't like, and
random
then
shit.
the whole thing was like we're supposed to give him a pass because he's carrying the offensive load. They get Kyrie and the nigga is still bad. Like I'm so confused. What's going on?
But sometimes,
And
like, you know how, like, when, I just have want to say something real quick. You know how, like, when superstar players get, like, a good secondary, or, like, a very, very good secondary, and then they'll try to, like, even if, like, the coach hasn't done anything to, like, change up schemes, like, they'll try to incorporate something themselves, being that they're, like, the best player on the team or
but
whatever. Like,
do you believe that? And I know none of us are really fans of Jason Kidd. Do
mm,
you think Jason Kidd is so incompetent
no, I don't.
that
But I think that,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. I
And
don't think
wait,
he
wait,
is.
offensively, yeah, he's
I,
probably the worst coach in the
I
league.
but if I'm not mistaken,
I
last
don't think
year
he's
Jason
bad.
Kidd
Nah, he's
was
not the worst. You're
well,
gassing it. The worst?
The worst on a team that actually wants to do something. I'm not talking about Dwayne fucking Casey. Obviously, he doesn't count. The Mavericks are supposed to be a team.
face
The Mavericks are
ass.
supposed to be a serious fucking team. Out of the teams that
He's
are
that much
supposed,
worse than Darvin Ham? Offensively?
literally, yes, dead ass.
No, he
Yeah, I don't know
can't
about
be.
that one.
He
Yeah.
legitimately is like there.
Well, Eli. Did was because I could be mistaken, but I thought last year, at the top of last year, Kid was pushing really heavily to diversify the offense and allow other people to manage offenses through some certain possessions, which is why, like,
Is
I
giving
remember in the
DFS
beginning.
post touches a positive to you? What the fuck?
Yeah, but okay, but you can't say that he wasn't. The point I'm making is it that he may be incompetent at it, at least he's trying. So then when they just like do these like isolation sets, is that Kid or is that Luca just like saying this is what I want to do?
The offense was relatively creative pre kid, so I don't know. Like,
So what?
So
So
but then
why is
why?
why is
So then
Carlisle
Yeah,
not
why?
but
there
but
then,
Luca
Eli?
didn't want that coach there anymore.
Exactly.
well, that's on that's a criticism you can have of Luca. Like him and
But that's another critic because
Carlisle is a great coach, and they didn't have
yeah,
the best.
James, he got Kevin McHale out of there.
Carlisle is a great coach, and they apparently
Nah,
didn't
man.
have a great relationship. So You know, if you want to say he chose the wrong coach, cool. But when you brought up like Luka's defense in the stretch with Kyrie, I think I do think he's been like particularly bad. Like recently, yeah, I think he has reached like 15, 14 Harden levels, right? Where it's just like it's very clear that there's like no defensive effort. Like he is like one of the worst defenders on the planet, right? But that also has corresponded with like him clearly being injured. Like there was a reason. There's a reason that he the fact that they even let him play on the quad is kind of weird to me, because if he wasn't healthy enough to play that stretch of games earlier, why is it now okay for him to play right now? And why did they play him beforehand? Like you could argue that they've greatly mismanaged his injury, and that's like a big contributing factor to like some of the defensive effort stuff, at least lately, right? And but further along that, I do think that like the biggest contributor to like some of the Mavericks issues from an offensive structure standpoint is Kid, because the offense did not look like this in 2021, right? And it certainly didn't look like this in 2020 when they were, really, 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 really good. Before he was even as good as he is now, in certain aspects, he was probably a little quicker. He weighed less, so the off the dribble stuff might have been more dynamic. But he wasn't the passer he is today, and he wasn't the shot maker. And the offense was, I think they were even better relative to league average. So, but
Eli, the problem though, Eli, and all that is true. And let me be clear, I'm not even like trying to like do the heavy narrative thing, but like it's just odd to me that the way that we talked about, not us, but the community at large, talked about James, like literally in his first like 3 to 4 years in Houston, and how people used to just shit on Harden. Like people used to shit on him like pretty religiously. And I mean, in some capacities,
but
right?
is this where we've gone to where like every other week we have to wonder whether we're shitting on a guy enough? Ah man, bro. I mean,
But I think,
we have
but the
we
thing is,
haven't
Eli, I
we
think
haven't.
some of the criticism is legitimate, though. I think if you want to legitimately
And
criticize Luka,
he sees these critiques like every day though, bro. Like,
who?
bro, I promise you, I've seen like on my timeline, bro. I've seen just like 2 days ago, I've seen 20 fucking Luca tweets about how I mean, is it really Kid? Is it really Kyrie? Maybe it's 77. Like it's all like so
Maybe,
much shit on him
maybe
about
we
how
have
he's
too
No,
different
wait,
timelines.
real quick.
We have
'Cause
too
I was
different
just listening.
timelines.
My whole point is that no one's talking. Because I was trying to respond to your earlier point, Eli. I was just doing something. But my problem is that niggas on this app, and I know you niggas remember this discourse. When someone asked what is the difference between the way Harden is viewed and the way Luka is viewed, right? And niggas, and Eli, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say it was you, but I feel as if you were a nigga who was saying there was no difference and that they were both viewed the same. And niggas were swearing up and down that Luka and Harden were viewed in very similar ways. When Harden had a very, very similar season, both narratively and I guess just what they were that season, what their teams were. And he actually made the playoffs, and he was viewed as a fucking loser for coming in out of shape, not playing defense, running his coach out of the fucking out of the team and whatever, right? All that shit. He was viewed as a toxic nigga. Nobody wants to play with him. Nobody's been saying this shit until as of late with Luka. That nigga Harden was on Shaq and a Fool every fucking week. Every single week. They were making compilations about him. How bad he was that year, bro. That's my issue. That's my only issue.
I was the only person talking. You did not have to mute me
Yeah,
to
we
go on a
might.
fucking
No,
I don't
I
know,
rant,
muted
Eli.
you. I muted you because you
like
were
what
you
the
were gonna
fuck.
scream over niggas. So
I
Eli,
wasn't. I
you
was
don't let
literally.
people talk, Eli.
I'm
So
very
I
calm
think
right now,
Eli
and
just have a
also I
different
was the
timeline
only
because
speaking person.
like those compilations of Harden not playing defense are still on YouTube.
That was 8 fucking
Like
years ago.
the conspiracy theory of like Harden gaining and losing weight, or he's just a fat ass coming
that
in.
has nothing to do with what I said, by the way, Eli. It doesn't matter
What do
what the
you
time is.
mean?
I'm literally saying that they are
Like the
not
way
viewed as in a
I mean,
similar
it does because the way
perspective.
players were covered back then is a lot different than how players are
Okay,
covered
but we
now.
can. If you want to say
I'm
that we're getting
relatively,
smarter
I'm
as a group,
relatively
that's
sure.
fine.
Okay. I
If
was
you
the
want
one
to
who was
say that,
gonna
that's
cut both
fine.
people. All right.
Go ahead, Eli. Go ahead.
All right.
Hello.
So
I'm about to say I'm gonna have to. I don't hear Eli. Hold on, Eli. Hold on, Eli.
No, Eli was talking. You didn't
I
hear him?
know, but I didn't hear him at all.
Oh.
Okay, did anybody else hear Eli?
Nope, no.
Listen, okay.
Yeah.
What I was saying,
Oh, there you
what
go.
I was saying before I got removed was that that like the way that athletes are covered now, specifically in the NBA, is a lot different. If like Shaq was doing the shit where every single day like he targeted a nigga like Dwight, he would get a lot more shit for it nowadays. Niggas are just different, right? So I don't think that the way that Luka is covered right now is the same as like Harden was covered in 2014 or 2015.
2016 or whatever.
Either way, I mean either way, right? No, 20. I can't give you 2016, right? Because legit, the same talking points are current right now. There are niggas saying
No, they
there are
weren't,
niggas saying there.
Eli, and they didn't. And they
You
didn't
see,
happen
wait, wait,
until
wait, 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 wait,
late in the
wait, 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 wait,
season.
wait. You see how people will say, right? People back then, right? uh, obviously Harden didn't make the All NBA team, and it was like, oh, winning, right? And niggas would say, okay, winning is the reason he shouldn't make it. And a nigga who won like 55 games made it over him, right? Niggas are simultaneously saying, yeah, Luka should not make the All NBA team. And I love this guy to death. You niggas know this might be my favorite player in the league, but are also saying that Shea should fucking make it. Like legit is literally legit. These are things that are being said.
So Eli, is Luka gonna miss All NBA? Do you think that's gonna
I
happen?
I don't know. I don't think so. I doubt it.
Okay,
He's
man.
also unequivocally.
You know he's not
He's
missing
also
it, bro. Be
statistically.
serious.
He's also I don't think that he's gonna miss it. But also like, nigga, what the fuck? You think 16 Hard was as good as Luka is this year?
No, that's
And
not
also the like
relative to the league,
Relative, I'm
relative
about
to
to
the
say
league at the
relative.
time.
even
Yes,
relative to
He was left off All NBA for Kyle
yeah
Lowry,
yeah yeah.
bro.
for Kyle
I
Lowry,
mean,
bro. Like, are we serious?
didn't the Raptors win like 55 games that year?
Isn't Dame about to win All NBA? Be on an All NBA team as the 13th seed, bro?
Yeah. We've also gone a little bit away from like winning bias in some of these awards. Obviously, it's not
That's
completely
fine,
gone.
but it's a similar. Like, if the same niggas who were voting on All NBA then are voting on it now,
And a lot of
so I
them
just
niggas
want
have
to see
changed their mind
consistency.
on shit. And these awards have
Okay, man.
and these
I
awards.
guess, man.
I mean, you saw it with the Russ thing, right? And obviously the Jokic thing in recent years, right? So, and like even beyond that, again, like I said, the way that Harden is covered, right, and the way that Luka are covered is naturally going to be different because it is 8 years apart, right? And if you want to point out like the hypocrisy and like how certain guys like I don't know like Bill Simmons or whatever think of Harden versus how they think of Luka, like some of that is anchoring bias, right? The first playoff series you've seen from Luka, he killed the good team. In the first playoff series you've seen from Harden, as a number one, he kind of disappointed. Like and anchoring bias affects how we view a lot of stuff, right? Some of it is the fact that Luka is white, right? Like some of it is just the fact that niggas like him more. I don't know why niggas like him more.
Do you think
But
though that, and I thought about this as well, like the whole, because even I agree with you to an extent, like the people when we cover players is different, but then it's like, okay, we went through this whole stretch like maybe a month ago about Jokic, where major media outlets were just slandering Jokic, and I thought to myself, maybe it's because the standard is higher because he's an MVP candidate in his three years in a row. But then, like 2 months ago, we were slandering Trey Young because he ended up getting another coach fired, right?
were we? Were we? Who is
The
we?
ironically enough, the people that you just sat there and said that what's his name
Bill Simmons doesn't like the nigga.
Shaq and them, how they couldn't. I was in studio when they were talking about him, and they were slandering this nigga to the heavens.
I
They were
think
slandering him.
I whether they were doing it or not, I haven't really seen like a mass media push to like shit on Trey Young for the most part. Like, I mean, even after the nigga averaged like 15 points in the playoff series, I didn't see
Bro,
that
because
much
it,
slander
Were
yeah,
out.
people not slandering? Were people not slandering him for his defense as well, Eli?
I'm, I think it's a little worse than what Lucas is right now, or
No, I'm not.
literally
I'm
as
not saying. I'm
legit.
not saying it's not worse, but people were without a doubt openly slandering him about his defense. Correct?
Yeah,
Okay, I just don't see it, and maybe we have different timelines. I just don't see that criticism for Luka. I genuinely don't
Bro,
see
it's
it.
all over my timeline. It's all I see.
I don't.
Like every
Yeah, I don't
fucking
know.
day.
I just
But
don't think you're.
I don't
I don't
think
think you're
citing
looking for it,
JJ
then. Like
Maples
I
is something
genuinely
that's
don't think
credible
you're
to me,
looking for
bro.
it, and that's cool. And maybe that's how. And maybe that's just who you follow versus who I follow. But every time I hop on this app and a Mavericks game is going, all I see is negative shit about Luka, whether he's playing good or bad, right? And then
Sounds like
every
God's work to me.
and then even
Random
beyond
maple stray.
even when like the Mavericks were like not in position to miss the playoffs, right? Every time this nigga Luka does something good or he did something good this season, right? Like the nigga scored 60, 20, and 10 or whatever it was, right? In the first tweet I seen that got big was not, damn, bro, what a crazy performance by Luka. It was some random fucking Rockets fan saying, damn, bro, if Harden used to do this
It
shit,
was
dang,
biased
niggas
Houston,
would never
Eli. You
talk
know who
about it.
it was. It
Like
was biased Houston.
legit, every
Biased
fucking
Houston.
everything Luka does. Nah, I mean, if Hardy did this, he wouldn't get the love.
I mean, they
Everything
cooking.
this nigga
They
does.
cooking. Let them
I
cook.
mean, Hardy did
Let them
this.
cook.
Da, 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 da.
So
So
basically, you're letting the
All I
silent.
know is James would have made
I'm
the
not letting
playoffs
you.
with this team.
You can't say it's a silent majority when these same
Yes,
fucking
you're
tweets
letting
get
the
like
vocal minority
they
outweigh
get
the
like
silent
20K
majority.
likes every time they're tweeted by a big account, bro.
20K,
Like
that's
what the
nothing,
fuck?
bro. It's Twitter. That doesn't
Okay, bro.
represent the larger basketball community. There's a lot
You
of people that
cooked
don't
them.
even be on Twitter that talk basketball. This is
But
nothing, bro.
Low is literally speaking. He literally said my timeline. So I'm
No,
confused.
no, and yeah, to be fair,
Bias Houston represents the a
And I'm
silent
saying
minority.
biased Houston, but
I'm
Come
Will
not
on,
has
man.
to
not even
say
talking.
is
Come
what we're
on, man.
I'm
doing.
not even talking about
At
him.
least
But
say
No,
like
because
Zach
that's who
Lowe or
you're
someone like that.
referencing. That's who you're referencing.
Someone that
You're
actually
referencing
pulls
a
weight
known
I
in
mean,
the.
Will
big-ass
is one
Hardens
of
fan.
those niggas, but he is not the
No,
only
that's
nigga
the
that has
tweet
made
you're
this tweet.
referencing, dog. The
That's not it.
20K tweet.
I'm
That's the
not
tweet
referencing
you're
a
okay.
specific
All
tweet.
right, I'll go get it for
Nigga
you
is
right
going to tell me what tweet I'm referencing, and then when I tell him I'm not referencing it, watch this nigga will mute me
the only
and
the
then say, "Oh,
only
I'm just lying."
the only thing, Eli, is that I to an extent is definitely the way that we consume media, and I think that can be different. I'm telling you me, from what I see on my timeline, from what YouTubers have been uploading over the past week about the Dallas situation, in contrast to how people are talking about it on major media outlets. Like I'm okay with the idea of us like moving in a direction where we contextualize things way better. And so yes, I think the front office and coaching deserves like some criticism. I think that's fair. However, I think there's like very genuine and legitimate criticism that can be handed to Luca, such as defense, such as him pounding the rock and I mean just calling it like it is. I think there's times where he's ball hogging or when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's not interactive in the offense whatsoever. He actually floats away from plays. He complains to the referees a lot. His effort defensively is questionable at best. Like there's actual and these are not just things that are synonymous to this year. It's just overwhelming this season. Not only because they're about to miss the playoffs, but moving forward beyond this year, bro. Like the team is like I just don't know. I don't
That's
know what
interesting.
you do with this team moving forward,
For
right?
sure, for sure.
And and I think Luca, and to an extent, I think Luca's had talent on the roster where he can't maximize it because of the heliocentric style of
Oh my
basketball
god,
that he plays
bro,
that puts the numbers up as well. So I
The
don't I
thing,
don't know like how do you even assess Luca in a bigger scope if that
bro,
makes
how can
sense.
bro,
everything you're the thing I can agree with everything you're saying. The thing well, like the degree that I agree with it to
what the
is different depending on what you're talking about, right? But the thing is that I can't agree when everything you're saying is based on the premise that what you're saying is not being talked about because I literally just see it being talked about. Like every and not just by the media, but I see it being talked about by every fucking Mavericks page. So I just can't agree with you. Like the biggest Mavericks pages on this app all say the same shit you're saying, word for word, and they all get gas and they've all slandered their best player, right? Like I don't
bro,
know, man. Maybe it's just what you're
bro.
saying.
He's saying
But
the biggest problem is Luca playing heliocentric offense or whatever. But before the Kyrie
I don't think
trade,
that's it.
who the fuck do we have to force Luca to not play that solid basketball? Like, bro, you got to think, bro.
But you're once more you're saying these things as if like I'm talking in a vacuum to one season. One season it's gotten really
Who
bad,
have we ever
but
had? Who have we ever had to
like
force the ball out of Luka's hands?
Now they're
but
diminishing
okay,
who
but see,
Brunson
but
is as a player, man.
this is shit
I
I be
Now they're
can't,
talking about.
diminishing
bro.
But
Brunson. Like he didn't
this
start
is the
for
shit. This is
only
the shit I
half
be
the year
talking about right
last
here,
year.
where you can fall in love with this concept of like, oh, we had to put the ball in Luka's hands because we don't have anybody else. But you don't know who you have until you actually take the ball out of the nigga's hands. Because I don't think it is a con. I don't think it's just so happens that Jalen Brunson is having a borderline All NBA caliber season out in New York. I don't think that's. I think he's always been that player.
Oh
But
my
if you
god,
don't take the ball out of Luka's hands to give it to Jalen Brunson, and you never figure out who that player is.
He's always been the type of player that's like a limited passer and can average points. Can average points and score and like obviously score in intermediate areas, obviously score off the floater, obviously score from the mid range, but like doesn't have anywhere near the on ball equity of like, you feel me, of like of like a real traditional like secondary star, right? And we're probably gonna see that in the players. Don't you agree? We're probably gonna see that. Yeah, Jalen Brunson is a great player. He had a great season, right? But because of some of his physical limitations and some of his very glaring limitations as a passer, he does not actually demand the type of usage that he is getting with New York, right? And a big part of the reason that he went to New York is because that's one of the few teams that could offer that usage, right? Because they just desperately needed an advantage creator. Like, and also, like you could say that like Luka ran him out of town, but the nigga dead did not give them. He didn't give them a meeting to even resign. Like I don't know how you can make amends with
Oh,
like the Brunson.
I'm not saying that. I want to be clear. I'm not saying he ran him out of town. But what I'm saying is the idea of who he is as a player. You never know who he is if he's like if you're playing the Luca ball and you can't like just sit here and say like, well, we don't know. He's never really had this type
bro,
of player. But
But
it's like
all
we
the
don't
criticisms
know.
that
bro.
you're
Don't
leveling
you
on
also blame
Luca
coaching for that though?
they apply to Brunson right
Yeah,
now.
but see, but okay, but
Like Brunson is
He
the
had
type of
Rick Carlisle on his team, who's an excellent X and O's guy, who knows positioning, who's much more complex offensively, and he's not there anymore.
Bro, dog. Jalen Brunson was not that player you
you
think
just
he is
said,
right
right?
now.
So
He
look, you
wasn't
were
If
that
you
talking.
saw,
player.
but you
Yeah,
saw in
but
the
you don't
playoffs
know
that you can have
that,
two
bro.
You
You
were
primary
don't
ball
know.
talking about.
handlers
You
on
were
the
talking
team in
about
the
like
playoffs.
off.
He
You were
wasn't that
talking
player
about
you think
like
he
you were
is right
talking
now
about
for
like
those
off
first three
ball.
years in Dallas. He wasn't,
You
bro.
you were talking about like
Luka,
off ball.
Luka and Brunson worked in the playoffs. We got to the Western Conference Finals
You
with
were
them both. So
yeah yeah
saying
yeah.
that you can't have two primary ball handlers on one team, even Kyrie and Luka right now, the offense works. It's just the defense. You have the worst front court in probably the NBA. Reggie Bullock and Dwight Powell both starting. I don't understand how you get past that defensively. There's nothing
Bro,
you can do with that.
Talking about some of the heliocentric offense is the fucking reason we've been having like the highest offensive rating for a very long time, bro. Like
Yeah,
that's
you
not the
sound
problem.
like a bot, nigga. You sound like a
Okay,
bot,
yeah,
bro.
watch your mouth, nigga.
If you
Sorry to
watch the
tell
But
you.
when
if you watch
Ash
the
says the
games,
same,
you
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 see
score
sound like
how
a
amazing.
bot, bro. You sound like a bot. I'm
you
sorry to.
watch
I'm.
what
Wait, Eli,
watch
real
what I
quick.
watch what I'm finna do.
Wait,
Watch what I'm
no,
finna do.
Eli, no,
Watch
what
what
you're
I'm
not,
finna
because I
do.
know what you're about to do. What you're not
Watch what
about
I'm
to
finna
do.
do. Watch what I'm
No,
finna
I'm
do.
not
And
gonna
then
watch
watch
what
how
you're gonna
Ash
do.
reacts.
You see what I mean? Whenever someone else tries to talk, then he thinks I can just talk over them. That's what you're not gonna do. What you're not gonna do is push a false narrative that I'm saying that heliocentrism or that style of basketball is wrong. That's not what you're not about to do. All right. So don't even start. Don't even start.
What nigga you so
Because
you had this
my opinion is not in terms of how Luka should be playing basketball. It's not associated with Lowe's opinion. I just think the way they're covered is pretty
I
funny.
was going
That's
to
all
make
I
a
came to say.
you got very bad for no reason. I was gonna make a joke about how when it's you with Harden it's flirting, but when it's him with Luka it's
Yeah,
harassment.
Thank you,
okay.
It's
Sad.
I
just a
think
joke, nigga. Like you
some of
got
that
that.
some of
What
that
the
has to
fuck?
Sad.
do with Luka's
What the
age
fuck
though.
is wrong with you?
Luka's almost 24
Yeah.
now. When Luka reaches 28, 27, you're gonna see the same shit people are saying about Harden. But
So
he's just young now.
you think this is all just premature?
No, I think it's because he's young. When the expectation becomes high on Luka when he's 27, and people are like, oh, he hasn't got a ring yet, he hasn't won anything. People are gonna say the same shit. Just give it a amount of time, you'll see the same
Like
shit. You'll
this,
see
I
that
agree.
this
I
that's
season.
what
agree
I'm
with this
But
saying.
point.
you'll see
I think
it.
Luka,
It
and
just
this
takes
is what
time.
I've been
Like
saying for a minute.
this doesn't feel
Luka
unfair
needs
to
to
you.
undergo a maturation process as a basketball player. I think
Of
that's one of the
course,
biggest things. Like when you
he
guys
he
talk
benches
about
too
him
much,
complaining
man.
about officials and all that stuff, I think in his later prime or just like in his mid to late 20s when he gets past this stage, I think a lot of that stuff will change. Part of it too is as a situational basketball player, like you guys are talking about when he had Brunson and all these teammates he's had in the past, Porzingis, whatever. I think he's gonna become better at kind of not necessarily sacrificing possessions, but understanding this guy might have it going right now. He hasn't had a touch in a while. Let me get this guy involved. I think you'll see more of that as the years go by. I just don't see that from him now.
And
That's
I
one of the
don't think it's
critiques I
because
have
he's
of his
like
play.
I don't think it's because he's like selfish in MZ. Like the it depends on how you define the word selfish, but you may consider it selfish. I do. I just think that because of how he was wired, especially at like Real Madrid, right, and because of how he's been wired since his youth, his brain is always thinking the right play, right? Where's the advantage, right? Where's the like the opening to create for someone, right? And you saw this with like LeBron in 2011, where his brain wasn't thinking, um, or he didn't really. His brain was thinking this, but like he didn't play like this, right? Or he didn't really find a balance between deferring to Wade's on ball creation and also being able to, utilize my own strengths, right? And Luka is that. I'm not gonna say I don't want to compare him to LeBron because obviously he's not LeBron, but Luka in a similar way is someone who is a high level processor, is someone is really good at finding openings, one of the best playmakers in the sport, and his brain is always thinking, oh, there's an open shot, rather than, oh, there's my co-star who really needs a touch right now. And Kyrie, as of late, I think it's undeniable that he has looked like, since he stepped on a Mavericks court, even when Luka is off the floor, he has looked like he doesn't really give a fuck at times, right? Not every game or every possession, but there have been times. There were times in the games where Luka was not playing before like crunch time, before like the fourth, where Kyrie was deferring to fucking Reggie
Yeah,
Bullock.
his
Like, what the fuck?
aggressiveness wanes. He doesn't go
Absolutely.
out and seek the ball. I
Absolutely.
know. I know
And
what
is
you're
that
talking
is
about.
that okay? Is that something that we shouldn't slander? Like, what the fuck?
Okay, okay. Wait,
But
wait, 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 wait.
Kyrie doesn't try until the fourth
Now
quarter.
that
like,
was
I
true.
think
I
Rest of the
definitely
quarter,
saw
he's
that
Okay,
happening.
toast.
Eli.
this is crazy.
I was waiting for someone to bring that up. I'm not gonna lie.
Can I hop
Kyrie
Is in?
was like,
the NBA racist towards black
Hey,
people?
hello, real
uh,
quick. Why did you make this?
I
Because
just
you're a
made this because
loser.
I wanted to gauge the temperature on Luca before I made my video because they're about to be eliminated. And so
Okay.
as much as people think that I'm trying to bash Luca, I genuinely just want to hear as many people's perspective before I actually just make the video, because from my point of view, I just don't see the level of criticism that I think someone that Luca's caliber should be receiving. And I think that I mean, obviously there's variables outside of his control. So I think that that's the case. But I do believe that there are very legitimate criticism that should be placed upon Luca. I genuinely
Is
believe
he a
that.
worse player than he was last year? To
Let
you?
me hold on before you start this. Let me go ahead, clear the air here, because I feel like there's a bunch
probably
of
not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
non-Mavs
Like,
Someone
this
fans
is
that
a dumb combo. Like,
that
he's
don't
a
make enough,
shut
don't
up.
watch enough
I don't
games
care.
to understand what's actually going on. Because when I first got in here, I heard about Jalen Brunson. So to explain the whole Jalen Brunson thing, last year or before last year, the last time we played the Clippers, he was unplayable in the playoffs. The next season, which being last year when we made the Western Conference Finals, we obviously saw him start to turn into what you see today, but he was not there yet. If you watch the basketball of last year, there's no way you can tell me that he's the same player. He's not. He got better, which happens for young players. Players get better. That's what happened. If you look at 2021 versus 2022, better player. 2022 versus 2023, better player. That's just what happens. It's normal. Now to Kyrie. There's no point in the season where Kyrie was on the Mavericks looking like he didn't want to be there or didn't want to play or was apathetic or anything like that. That is retarded. That is dumb. I'm gonna keep 100 with you. Anytime that Kyrie was being non-aggressive, it was because he was trying to figure out how to play in a system that he was unfamiliar with. If you watch basketball, you can just tell that's how he was doing. He would take over in the fourth quarters. That's just his thing. That's what he does. Anytime that he was not aggressive, we all saw him not be aggressive at certain times, but you could see him trying to play off ball. Yes, he's not like Luka where the ball has to be in his hands. He plays off ball much better
I,
than Luka has ever has.
I think you're misconstruing what I said. Like when I say it looked like he didn't care, I'm not literally saying he doesn't want to be in, because I know this is going to get levied against you, right? That he doesn't want to be in Dallas and he's going to be gone. And I'm assuming you're a Dallas fan, so maybe that idea, kind of hurts your feelings. But that's not what I was saying. I
That's not
literally
even
was
my
saying what
point.
you were.
That's not really my point. Whatever you're saying, you're trying to
You
say
just
that
said it was dumb.
Kyrie wasn't playing that well. That's not the case.
That's also
He
not
didn't
what
say
I
that.
said. I just said he didn't look aggressive.
Yeah,
at
no one
times.
said he's not playing
It's
well.
like niggas just don't listen. I don't know.
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't
okay.
know, man.
Concede that one. Let me finish my point. Can I finish my point?
Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So
I'm on mute.
so with the acquiring of Kyrie Irving, the whole idea was we understood that this roster already had flaws. Before we traded for Kyrie, we already had flaws. Even though the record may have looked a certain way, we already knew we had flaws. We already knew we did not have any paint presence offensively or defensively whatsoever. We already knew that we needed a third ball handler because Spencer Dinwiddie was not a creator. Even when we had Jalen Brunson, the only reason it worked at that time is because we had Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie at the same time. If this roster, if it was just Luka and Jalen Brunson, no Dinwiddie, no Kyrie, just them two, it would have not worked. And furthermore, when we got Kyrie, we understood we had flaws. Our whole philosophy of getting Kyrie was that it's a future play. Hopefully we'd make the playoffs and be able to shock the world this year, but that was not an expectation whatsoever. The expectation was we would make the
It
playoffs
was
and do.
not an expectation for you all to make the playoffs when y'all were in the playoffs when you
That's
had
not what I.
Kyrie.
That's
You
not what I
Before.
guys, you guys
said.
were the
Yo,
fourth seed at the
That's
time.
not
Yeah,
what I
they were the
said.
4th seed. That's
man,
not true.
shut.
That's not what I
That
said.
is what you said. You okay? Say what you just said
Okay.
again. Maybe I
Yes, you
misunderstood what you
misunderstood.
said.
But let me explain. So when we got Kyrie, we knew we had flaws. Our expectation was to make the playoffs and keep our position of where we were, but we knew we were losing defense with trading away Dorian Finney-Smith. We already knew we were already flawed at defense. So we had no expectations of winning a championship first year with Kyrie. What happened still was negative. All this things happened that weren't supposed to happen. People getting injured. That's neither nor here nor there. But the expectation was not to win the championship this year. Championship aspirations only start after we re-sign Kyrie and we're able to build around Luka and Kyrie because the roster that is currently there is not enough to do anything at all. We were just
So
hoping on matching Luka.
That's true.
but you realize that y'all are not even meeting the expectations of
We're
making the
not. We're
playoffs,
not
right?
meeting those expectations right now. I fully understand that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that trading for Kyrie had nothing to do with this season at all.
Okay, I think you're missing the point of what we're saying because if you are acknowledging that the expectations were just to make the playoffs and y'all are not
We
making the
failed
playoffs,
that.
and that
We
means
failed that, Lo. We failed that.
so then the question then becomes how much not just how much blame, but why is it that when the expectations are not met for someone who is viewed as an MVP caliber player, why is it
Luka
that
is
there
being
isn't the same
criticized right now. He's being
I
criticized.
don't
Legit for
I personally do not see the same level of criticism
It's
Low,
all
low.
on
for
How
his
much
Luca
end.
that
blame
I
would you
see
Bro,
for
I
put?
It's the
see it
Kyrie.
every
whole
What
day, bro.
percentage of
conversation
blame
I
about
are we
see it
gonna put
what
on
every day, bro.
Luca?
do players want to play
20%,
with him?
30%.
Should Kyrie stay?
check NBA on ESPN right now. Legit 4 hours ago they dropped.
I see it
Nobody
every day,
talks
bro.
about the
Legit
How
Mavericks.
much?
Nobody talks about the
4 hours
Mavericks
ago they
until
dropped the
something
video,
bad
man.
happens. And that's all they're talking about is what's bad going on in Dallas and is it Luka's fault? That's the whole conversation. We're never talked
Well, no,
about
no,
in
no.
national
Well,
media.
let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Them asking what's going on in Dallas versus we already identified that it is Luca's fault are two different conversations.
That is not what they
The
asked.
only
The
reason, the
title
only reason,
It's not Luca's fault though.
video
I'm
it
going
says
I
off
don't
of what
understand.
he just said. I'm
the
just telling you
look,
what he just told
the
me.
only reason that they're questioning whether or not it's Luka's fault is because the national media hates Kyrie. So he is a little bit of a shield for Luka, a little bit. But don't get it twisted.
Oh, a little bit.
Most of these
Yeah.
people just hate Kyrie, and what is we supposed to do about that? But like Luka's being blamed plenty. I promise you. I even quoted your tweet.
So if you are acknowledging that Kyrie's potentially being a shield, mind you, the criticism that I just brought up, and I think many people are bringing up, are criticisms that go beyond Kyrie's stint with the team. Why do you understand where I'm coming from then? If you were identifying that Kyrie's being used as a shield for criticism that should have been given to Luka in the beginning of this season, last year, and potentially the year before that, these are things that I'm telling you that could have been criticized for Luka for months now. Do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
understand what you're saying, but you see the tweet. It like you have Tim Hardaway Jr. talking about these dudes aren't leaders. You have who's more to blame? Should players want to play with Luka? What's this one say? Luka's not that guy. Like people are criticizing him as much as possible. I don't know how much more I asked what criticism is he missing out on? Is
I
my
want him
question.
to get called a fat ass on national media.
That's never happening, but people on Twitter do it every day.
Also,
So
never happened to 13. So don't do that.
they were calling him fat at the Hawks game. Like
No, I'm
that's a
just
thing.
trolling, brother. I'm just trolling, brother. Don't
Yeah,
take
yeah,
me
yeah,
serious.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm just asking what criticism is he missing?
Nigga just press the fuck out your
Because
cuff.
I guess the
I'm
question though is like, what exactly are you looking for? Do you want them to say he's not a top five player?
Big,
He's not this type of
fat.
player.
I
Like,
want them here. Let me tell you, Ray. I want them to make compilations the same way they made compilations of James Harden's defense. I want them to show him complaining to the referees the same way that they did for Chris Paul when he was
they do
doing it.
that.
I
We
want.
see that every
I
day.
want.
Still does
Luca,
that though.
you
No,
see
I'm
Yeah,
not.
Luca
I'm
I,
not.
I
I'm
complaining to the
not
actually
refs
saying.
do
every
agree
I'm
with
day.
not,
bro.
bro.
wait a
All
minute,
right.
they do that though, right?
They do that
You
So
shit
see
you
every
just
day.
Luca
so you just
complaining to
want
the
one
refs
fair
every
media
day. I don't
coverage
like.
Bro,
for
look,
every
I think
player.
you choose to
You're
see
right,
what you want to
Eli.
see, bro.
I
That's
do.
what it
That's
is.
exactly what I want.
Or
Like
or I,
instead of being like, damn, the way
That
they
sounds like
covered
good eats to me,
the
Eli.
way they used to cover Harden maybe wasn't fair.
Listen,
Maybe.
no, no.
there's
Some
one
of
way
it was
we can
fair.
Maybe
No,
I
no,
separate.
no.
was
Some of it was
robbed of
fair.
an
Some of it
all
was fair.
NBA team, and you're saying maybe? You're saying maybe? I want him to suffer.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah,
I'm
it
not
wasn't no
saying
maybe behind that.
when I'm saying maybe it's just a word. I'm talking in Lowe's brain, right? Instead of going like that, right? Instead of being like, this probably wasn't fair. This probably was wrong. Niggas, instead of doing that, right? Niggas want to be like, every athlete has to be covered badly because athletes were covered badly in the past. Instead of being like, maybe we should just cover sports
Not
the
the
right way.
past. It's
I don't
happening
know,
right
man. I don't know,
now.
man. That's
Well,
kind
let
of
me
dumb
let
in
me be
my opinion.
clear. It's not the past. If it's literally not the past, if there were compilations of Jokic playing bad defense, egregiously bad
By
defense in a
ESPN,
4-game stretch. So
Nigga,
I
there
can't.
was hold on, low. Wait.
show one, send.
There was literally clips of NBA Central posting Jokic field goal percentage in the paint when teams would drive towards him, bro. Like it'd
So
be like
NBA
clean
Central
shot.
doesn't have a negative tweet about Luka's defense. I'm sure I could find that. And NBA Central does not count as the mainstream NBA media, at least from
Well,
your opinion.
we know for a
So can
fact
you
how
so can you show me an ESPN
we know
compilation of niggas scoring on Jokic? Because that's what you're asking for.
we know for a fact that there was
I'm
definitely
sure
negative
I'm pretty
coverage
HB
sure
of
has it. Can you
ESPN
send it to me?
retweeted
We
that,
know
but
for a fact that there was negative coverage of Jokic this year from ESPN.
And there's
We
Yeah.
negative
know
coverage of
for a
Luca.
fact
There's
that
negative
was.
coverage of Luca.
Is it to the same degree?
Luca wasn't in the
Of who?
wasn't
Well,
number
one
one
nigga
in the
is on the
MVP
one
race.
seed
That's
right
why.
now.
That's the only reason.
Oh, okay, I said that earlier. That maybe you can argue that one is on the ESPN race. I mean,
yeah,
on
one does
MVP
have
race.
significantly more like
Yeah,
pressure.
and you can
And yeah, one
definitely say that.
actually has the chance of not only winning a third MVP, but also
But
he's
should be
on.
considered a contender. Yeah.
I
Look,
Yeah,
mean,
but gifted,
okay,
gifted,
yeah,
gifted. When
I take the
If
people
you're
fair
when
about
play.
to
people were
win three
criticizing
MVPs in a row, you're up to more scrutiny than if you have zero.
when people were criticizing Harden, it was like his third or fourth year in Houston. It wasn't
he was
like it was.
27. That's why. He was
Yes,
Dog.
27.
but it was his start. It was his third or fourth year organizing an offense by himself, not by himself, but leading a team. It wasn't like he went from somebody who was coming off the bench and had the responsibility to lead an offense, and they wanted this nigga by year 3 to automatically just know what the fuck he's supposed to be doing.
He was
Like, what the
27.
fuck are we talking
That's
about?
why. He was
Who?
27.
Who are you talking about?
Oh,
Nigga, the
bro.
age doesn't. Okay,
The
so I'm gonna
age
say this
doesn't.
real quick.
Who are
Wait.
you
The age
talking
Oh,
does
come
about?
on,
not.
bro. Come on.
But the age does not. If your role, right, you could be 28 and your role could be a
Forget
six
the
man, and
role.
if you become any, then the following year, if you're asked to lead an actual offensive unit and be the focal point for it at 29, nigga, your age doesn't
Jalen
matter. It's in
Green is
your role.
leading an offense right now, so he's been doing it for 2 years.
He's
So,
not a
are you
good
telling
one.
me? Hold
It's
on, bro.
not a good one, so I don't know why
It's
that
not
was
a
brought
good
up.
one.
Hold on. If Jalen Green's been
It's
leading an
not a good
offense for
one.
2 years, and in 3 more years, are we going to be expecting him like what's up? Like he's been doing
No,
it
I'm not
But
going
for
to
in
do
how
we
say it's
do
many
we
more
know?
so
years?
But
based
no,
on
no,
what
wait,
your
wait, wait, wait,
team
wait.
is
This
like,
is
though. You know
why.
what I'm saying? Like,
This is
like
Caliber
this
of
is
players
why
that you got
what
from
you're saying
Baylor.
is not fair. Do we go into seasons almost every year predicting that Jalen Green is
Oh,
going to be an MVP finalist?
were we
no,
not
we
doing that
don't.
with
No.
Harden? Is my question.
When niggas did go
What?
into
And
this season.
that's even worse.
Niggas did go
Back
into this
then,
season
people were
telling me
not expecting
I'm not gonna be
Harden to be
mean.
an
I see
MVP
Will in
finalist,
there.
and yet they were still holding him to the same standard as MVP
I do not
finalists.
Wait,
recall
how
that he
far back are
wasn't
you
being
going
expected to
again,
be an
Lo?
MVP finalist.
I'm talking about in 2015 and in 2016 when Shaq and the Fool, they used to run compilations of this nigga not playing defense. You can go online. There's compilations of this nigga still not playing defense. When we would sit here and have like before and after pictures of this nigga weight. When we would sit here and talk about how the nigga
They
used
do
to
that
just
for Luka
dribble
right
the air out of
now.
the ball.
They do it for Luka right now. They do.
I just
Bro,
don't see it. I'm
I'm
just
not
being
gonna lie,
honest.
Lo,
I
I'm
just don't
seeing a
see it as
lot of
often
that
as
right
y'all
now.
saying.
Literally, like I don't know.
I just
What?
don't see it as often as
bro,
what y'all saying,
Bro,
bro.
bro.
And I'm
Those
not saying
second,
it
those
does
second
not
and fool clips,
exist. I just don't see
those
it as
shits some
okay,
often.
troll
look,
shit,
I'm a
bro.
Mavs fan. My entire feed is Mavs stuff. So anytime somebody is negatively criticizing Luka, I see it. So maybe that's why, but I promise you it is there and it is very prevalent. He is the only player in the league there talking about his weight right now. Like they're not besides Zion. Zion doesn't even get criticized for his weight as much as Luka.
Y'all keep showing me clips of just Kendrick Perkins saying shit.
Bro, you talking about Shaq and the fool?
Bro,
You're
why
talking
would
about
What the
something
hell?
that a show that doesn't
I
even
just
exist
named
anymore.
3 different incidences of things.
Bro,
What are you
bro, we have to
saying?
stop this bullshit. Y'all know
can I
damn
say
well Luka has been put as the dark horse MVP for the last 3 seasons, and y'all acting like this nigga not making the playoffs is just something that you just want
Nigga
to
brought
bring.
up
Bro,
Jalen
like you
Green.
bring up
can I,
Jalen
I didn't
Green as if the
I didn't
Rockets
get the
and the
Eli,
Jalen
I don't
Green
know
shit.
what's
Mavericks,
I
that
get
nigga.
let's
as if the
move on.
Rockets
Okay,
and the
if you
Mavericks
do,
are
do
the
you want to
same tier of team, bro.
do you want
Like
me to explain?
when do
Do
we
you want me to
stop this
explain why I
bullshit,
brought up
bro?
Jalen
When do we
Green?
stop this bullshit?
Do,
Because when
do you want me to
Luka,
explain
no,
why?
wait, no, stop. Because when Luka was in the bubble cooking up the Clippers, and then when he was cooking the Clippers the next year after that, but he was losing, it was like, oh my god, he's just one step away. And then when the nigga makes the Western Conference Finals the year after that, it's oh my god, Luka's gonna be the MVP. He's so fucking
Niggas
good.
had
And then
Luca
now
at
this
the
nigga,
wait.
but now
Yo,
niggas are
Trey.
getting more criticism. And it's like y'all act like this, like oh he's getting the same level. Like you know what Low is saying. Y'all do the same shit with Jokic. Like why is it
What?
when niggas
Huh?
are getting this criticism,
What the
Yes,
bro?
he's
fuck?
getting
Y'all, no,
criticism, so that's
no,
why
no, no.
this
I swear to
argument makes
God,
no
we talk
sense.
about because when we talk about Jokic
I'm
and
confused
spaces,
with what Trey
nigga,
trying to say right now. Hold on.
nigga act like this nigga Jokic just gets the same like level of criticism or the same amount of pressure as he should as like an MVP finalist when that's not the case. That's not the
They should
case.
have
Are
had a
Like
you
this
question
nigga not
mark
insinuating it's
getting the
because
emoji.
same
he's
level
white?
of
Are
criticism,
you
bro.
They should
insinuating
have had a
because he's
question
white?
You
mark
said
emoji for
what?
space
I,
Yo,
white.
I
Ash,
don't
what'd
get
you
it.
say?
Why
Nigga,
just
okay.
that stupid,
Yo,
bro?
This
Ash,
is
what'd you
just
say?
so fucking weird, bro.
Why
Nigga,
y'all
Like to
nigga. You
like to
know
bring it to the
what
Jokic thing.
Low is saying, bro. He's
Niggas like,
simply
wait,
saying
wait,
it's
wait,
not
wait,
the
wait.
same level of criticism. It's
Niggas
not
like,
saying that it doesn't
bro.
happen at all, bro.
Niggas will say, right? Niggas will say, because you brought it to Jokic,
Uh,
okay? Niggas will say, right? The Nuggets don't have a chance of winning. Nobody should expect them to win. And then simultaneously say that, like, Jokic has the
ain't someone
expectation
talking?
to win because other niggas have had those
Eli's
expectations when they
winning.
were this level
Eli's
of
winning.
player. That's what I mean when I
I'll be
say
back.
instead of being like
Okay, wait.
maybe we should do a better job at covering sports.
Eli.
It's everyone should have unfair
E-
No, nigga, I
expectations.
want
Everybody
Eli,
should
let me
reparations,
expect
ask
the
you a
nigga.
shit.
question.
I want
Eli, let me ask you a
reparations, nigga.
question.
Slander them
Yo,
niggas.
let me
Slander them niggas.
stop,
This
stop,
nigga
Daddy, stop.
Najee.
No,
Niggas
Eli,
I'm
didn't.
sick of this
If you
shit,
want to talk
bro.
about a nigga being
No,
saved,
Shut the
Nazi,
fuck up.
niggas
You been
didn't
talking the
slander
whole
your best
time.
friend after he got swept in the first round. So what the
Nigga,
fuck?
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Stop, stop,
now niggas have to talk.
stop. Eli, let me ask you a question. Who the people who are saying that Jokic has doesn't have like that much
Eli
pressure
would have snitched
was
on the
expecting
slaves from
him to
trying to
win?
leave.
Who are those people you're referring to?
You said what?
Who are the people you're referring to when you're
The
saying
nigga who just
Jokic?
said the shit.
The nigga who said Jokic doesn't have pressure to win because he doesn't
That nigga
expect
Trey
him
just
to?
said. That nigga Trey, right? Just said.
I just said that
Jokic doesn't get pressure like niggas think. Type shit. He said that. He can't say he
because
didn't
when
say
we
that. It's not cool.
because we all can recognize, or like most of us can recognize,
And
yeah,
he's also Simon.
this
Can
nigga
I
Jokic is not getting the same amount of
Can you
like
address
pressure
after I'm
as he
done? Can
would
you address
as
the
an
point
MVP.
after I'm done?
Nigga, okay, bro, you just said some shit. All right,
No,
fuck it,
no,
you
no,
got
no,
it,
no,
bro.
And
no,
Go
then
no.
ahead.
The problem I
I'm
have with
going
the
to allow
Jokic
you to
thing is
respond.
there's
And
a
then
real problem with the
nigga
Jokic
Simon,
conversation because
who the fuck is this hook? Who the fuck is this hook addict nigga?
you
Anyway,
read my
bro.
name.
Yeah,
Well,
Anyways,
what am I supposed to? How do I reply to that?
anyways,
Anyways, no,
anyways,
anyways. So with the Jokic thing,
nigga, you hear me
yeah, fuck you,
speaking?
nigga. The Jokic thing is a problem because everything they say about Jokic,
You
you could
said
say about
nothing but
Embiid.
dumb shit. Nobody wants to hear you.
Bro, stop getting these side quests, bro. Like, just talk.
Okay, you said right. Jokic doesn't have the pressure that
Damn, man,
niggas
he
have,
went on mute. It's
and you've
crazy.
also simultaneously said right. The Nuggets don't have a chance of winning. How can you say both those things? And the reason you're gonna say it is because, I mean, other niggas they get that same. You feel me? Other niggas get that same
No,
slander
no,
type
no,
shit.
no,
So
no,
you
no.
just
I feel
that
like
don't
no,
make
no, no,
sense to
because
me, bro.
me saying the Nuggets don't have a chance of winning is more so me like being a hater, nigga. That's like me hating. on the Nuggets, right? And the only reason I be having like any type of energy for Jokic is because of the way Jokic fans be acting, right? But I do think there's genuine problems with the Nuggets team and the fact that Jokic is not a good defender. I do think there's genuine problems with that. However, do they have a chance to win or to come out the West? Yeah, they have a chance to come out the West. They have the best player in the conference, right? Like, Jokic is that level of player. No, you can say Steph, right? Like, it is what it is,
Nah,
but
I was
like,
joking. Actually, go ahead.
go with me,
He's
right?
the best player in the conference.
Yeah. So you have Jokic, right? And then the Nuggets have a good team, and for years, Nuggets fans and the media have been saying, "Oh my God, like what is he gonna do when he gets Murray and PJ back? Like, look how good they're gonna be. They made the conference finals last time. All three of them were together, and Jokic got way better, right? And you're giving this guy back-to-back MVPs, and he's in the running for most of the year. He's the front runner to win a third MVP back-to-back. So when you give these guys these awards, it comes with a certain level of standard expectation. You're not gonna give a nigga an MVP and not expect the nigga not to make some noise in the playoffs. How many times can a nigga be the MVP and be a first round, second round exit? That just doesn't make
It's a
sense.
regular season award, bro.
Yes, it's a regular.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Trey. I'm so sorry. Ash, I watched the fucking videos that these niggas reference in the top because I genuinely want to fucking. I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying my hardest not to. First of all, this nigga, two of the fucking things that you reference are the same fucking clip. The first one and the last one, it's nothing but a screenshot of what happened in the first one. That's A. B, the second video you referenced, most of the time they spent talking about the lack of defense on the team, not actually who Luka Doncic is as a player. And then when they finally got to it, it really wasn't criticism. It was Perkins presenting the exact same question that I am now presenting to people, which is how long do we go until we start criticizing Luka? It's the same thing that I'm saying now. It wasn't no actual criticism of like harsh criticism. And so if you think that what you saw in those videos is the same thing that is given to Giannis, to Jokic, to Embiid, to Durant, to LeBron, if you think that it's the same thing, shut the fuck up, nigga, because it's not.
Oh wow.
It is not the same thing.
Wow. Oh wow.
Take that nigga Luka dick out your mouth, because that's not the same thing. And you know it's not the same thing.
Oh, okay. I will.
You know that's not the same thing. Massively disingenuous.
Get him, Legend of Winning. You got him.
This nigga has
Get him.
basketball sound.
Go get him, Lo.
I seen this nigga. I seen this
Upset, boy.
Bro.
I seen this nigga.
Bro, that's all I'm saying. Like,
I
we
seen
all
this
can
nigga Giannis drop
understand.
11
We can all
points on
understand this
national
nigga is.
television. Richard Jefferson defended this nigga.
Nobody
I seen this
said
nigga
shit.
Yeah.
I seen this. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me.
Fuck! I hate when Eli does
Why
this.
doesn't nobody defend James like this, man? What happened? What happened to our
This nigga
supporters,
Eli is
bro?
just trying to be. He's just trying to be argumentative.
I never see the
for
masses
sake
come
of
to
doing
defend
it,
Harden
bro.
like this. It's always just that nobody ever comes up like this, man.
Ash,
This
this
depressing,
nigga
man.
Eli is being argumentative for the sake of being
No, I
argumentative,
know,
bro.
He's a natural contrarian. We know, but I'm talking.
It's
But I'm not
it's
talking
so
about Eli,
it's
man.
like, bro, we know what niggas was saying about
How come
Giannis
niggas never come up and defend
after
James like this,
nigga.
man? I don't get it.
I can. First of all, bro,
Tough
there's
being a
full
Harden
on
fan nowadays,
videos
bro.
of people having to debunk the shit that people have been saying about Giannis over the past 2 to 3 years, and it's not just coming from one person. Jesus, you think that?
Maybe we should pose the question, Eli. Why do you like defending white people so much? Maybe we should ask that question.
No.
Wait. By the way.
Low, by the way.
No. He didn't let me finish. Right. I seen
Eli the Coolest?
I seen the nigga, like I said, I seen the nigga Richard Jefferson defend the nigga Giannis after he went like 3 for 11, right? I've seen right, whether it's Stephen A. Smith or whether it's other niggas, right? Jay or whatever the nigga name is, defend that nigga KD, right?
Okay, bro. Before you keep going, bro,
call him the best in the world
name
after
these
he's been
anecdotal experience. Bro,
call him the best in the world
I
after
swear
he's
we
been,
don't care. I swear we don't
I've
care.
seen him get called the best in the world after he's been swept, right?
I swear we don't care.
I've seen
we
the
don't
niggas
care.
the niggas that support LeBron. I've seen them be very silent after the Lakers did not make the playoffs last year for whatever reason, right? Nick,
Do you
I think
think?
the
Do you think
reason
Luka
is
receives
that
the
all
same
the
let me
bro,
hate?
finish.
major
Let
names
me
bro,
have
finish.
won
Let me
bro,
finish.
bro.
Let me
championships,
I
finish.
and that's
hate,
why
I
they're
hate
saying
when
that.
niggas.
Niggas, wait. I
No,
am
no,
not
because
saying.
Eli,
I
all
am
you're
not
doing,
saying.
no, because
If you
you
can
know
let
what
me
niggas are
finish, you'll
saying.
get
My bad,
the
I not mean
point.
to mute that
The
time.
point that
Like,
I'm
no, all
making.
this nigga
The
is doing
point that
is
I'm making
arguing
is
these
that
points as
guys
if
have.
niggas is saying that no one
He's
does
not
the
listening.
things, right?
He's not
No,
listening. He's
because
not listening.
you're bringing up these things saying
I'm
like,
going.
oh, look at this one person that did this, look at this person that does
I'm
this.
not doing
When the
no.
argument, no, the
That's
argument is
literally that
never
is
like it
literally the
doesn't
point
happen,
I am going.
nigga.
That is
Okay,
literally the
bro.
point I am going to make. If you
Okay,
would shut the fuck
okay,
up and
Eli.
get my dick
Okay,
out your
Eli.
mouth.
Okay,
Like
you've
what
been
the
saying the
fuck,
same
nigga?
shit for the last
Is
20
that dick
minutes.
riding shit all you
You've been
do?
saying the
Like
same
would you
shit.
shut the fuck up for 2
Hey
Oh,
Trey,
seconds?
can you let him go? Let him
okay,
go. Let him go. Let
Eli.
him go, Trey.
We're
Eli,
all
no,
black
Eli
kids.
came out of school, nigga. Last space, he wasn't like this.
Listen,
Like
bro.
we
Listen, bro.
know this is,
Listen.
bro. Like, shut the
Yo,
fuck up, bro.
we're
Like,
all
you
black
saying the
kids.
same shit,
Chill.
bro. You
You
saying the
said
same
what?
shit. You
I
saying
literally
the same
I
shit.
literally
I just like I really sit back and think, why didn't anybody like to defend James like this? And then I'm like, well, I think it's because Luka's white and because James is black. Like, you feel me? Like when the last time you ever heard somebody come on the app and talk about James like this? Arguments start about James, but when it's Luka, is man, I gotta have all my niggas come out defending him. You feel me? You feel me, man? Maybe there's some conspiracy going on, man. Like I just. Like why y'all like man, man, and I just this nigga's washed too, man. It's not I don't even man, I hate life right now, man. Like don't y'all, bro. Like maybe I should kill
the
myself
point.
like that ass, bro. I don't see no reason
Anyways,
to
right?
live no
So
more.
playoffs.
Anyways, the point that I was making, right, is that within the media, right, people have guys that they like and guys that they don't like, right? And coverage is based on what you've accomplished, right? Coverage is based on what you won. Like how much you demand on the market. How much does your team demand on the market, right? This year, the Mavericks for the entirety of the season have not demanded much, right? They are not they are not very high on the NBA's totem pole when it comes to equity. They're not covered very often, right? And also, Luka, for whatever reasons, has not built as many enemies, um, as many enemies in the media as some guys have, right? Whether that's Tubster, in Philadelphia, or whether
Yeah,
that's
watch your mouth.
what
That nigga's
what
nasty. He's
Watch your
nasty.
mouth.
He
Watch your
knows
mouth.
what
Watch
he's
your mouth.
doing. He
Tubster is
knows what he's doing.
insane.
my bad.
I
Listen,
know the
Tubster's
Luka and
Wait,
insane.
wait,
Jokic
Eli,
fan
Eli,
isn't
let me
talking
ask
or
you this
about
whether that's
question.
Russ,
Tubster.
Eli, let
right?
me ask you this question.
So right now,
Eli, let
so
me ask you
right
this
now,
question.
right? So right now, Luka.
Wait, Eli, let me ask you this real quick. Let me ask you this
Go
real
ahead.
quick question. How many enemies do you think Harden, realistically speaking, had the ability to gain by 2015, bro?
Apparently, niggas. I don't know who was in his team during then, but apparently niggas don't like the niggas. But
He cut out for me,
Yeah,
or
he cut out.
Yeah, he cut out. Say it again,
oh.
Eli.
I said I don't know who was in his camp in 2016, but apparently like niggas who, whether they work for ESPN or they work for FS1, like them niggas have not liked his camp, right? I don't know why. I'm not tapped in. I'm not that nigga. You feel me? Lo, you really
For sure, for
you
sure.
is that nigga though. So you could figure. I mean, you not that nigga, but you that nigga when
I
you
and
could
I'm and
figure
I'm
that shit
telling
out.
you,
Go
K.
ahead, go look for it. I don't know
And but
why.
wait,
That nigga
I'm
said
trying to tell you
for
though.
sure to that. That's crazy.
Ayo, and I'm trying to let you know while we're in a relatively smaller space. When Trey Young got what's his name fired, no, it was people who were criticizing him, and then I saw what they also said off camera, and it was much worse.
Nigga, no cap. Trey Young does get. I mean, like I'm glad you brought up Trey Young because Trey Young do be getting like more criticism from the national media than Luka somehow. Even though like it's a consensus that Luka's like far better. I just don't understand that either. Like Trey Young will be getting like national attention about like getting his coach fired or like where the Hawks are. Like, oh,
because
the
he
Hawks
got his
aren't
coach
that
You
good.
gon'
fired.
you
No,
gonna have to send
no.
your
Before that,
you gonna have to
Wait,
send
wait,
your
wait,
before that,
wait,
first
wait,
after
take
he
Eli.
made
statement about the Hawks,
after
nigga.
no.
I'm
You
not
gonna
gonna
have to
lie,
send
Trey.
your
After
first take
I
after
don't
statement.
watch
wait,
you
let
gotta
me
show me.
finish, nigga. I'm not
I
done
don't know.
talking. After Trey Young made the conference finals and took out the Sixers, the year after that, when they were struggling to make the play-in, it was a lot of noise about Trey Young. And then after Trey Young I mean, granted, he did have an abysmal performance, right? Like it was granted attention on that, right? All I'm saying though is that Luka's in a very similar position where he's not even going to he's probably not even going to make the play-in, right? After having like such an astronomically high number of a chance to make the playoffs, being the sixth seed and going out of the play-in is pretty fucking crazy. And he's not getting. It's like so many people are just ready to defend this nigga and saying like, "Oh well, it's Mark Cuban's fault." Really, like Switch Out made a video saying, "Oh, it's really Mark Cuban's fault,"
And that
versus
video was
saying it's Luka.
insanity. And
Yeah,
what?
I
Let me
watched
be
it.
clear.
Like he made
Let me
some
say that back.
valid
Let me say
points,
that.
but it's like, bro,
Let me say
like
that
why
back.
are you blaming Mark Cuban before you blame Luka when niggas was just ready to blame Trey Young after they was and they made the play in last year.
But
Because
why
y'all
do
don't
why did
understand.
Wait,
Y'all
wait.
don't understand the NBA at all.
Eli. Let me say this real quick. Let me correct myself. Let me correct
what
myself.
the
Niggas
point?
said
The
we
point.
don't understand
Not
the
at
Wait,
all.
Eli.
NBA.
Let me correct myself real quick. That's not crazy because there is some validity behind the fact that Mark Cuban
100%.
is the fault. But the problem is that when it comes to and I'm Eli, I'm also open to the idea of us just having more constructive dialogue with NBA players. I'm open to that as well.
That's all I'm
The,
saying, bro. That's
but
all
the
I'm saying.
problem is that we haven't been having that this year alone. Like it's been, don't get me wrong, the convo between now in contrast to 2016, undeniably is much better. Like undeniably. However, this year alone, we already know, and you and I both know what people are going to say about this upcoming playoffs because somebody's going to have to lose. And so we know we already
Nah, this is gonna
know
be a
what
wild
niggas
one,
gonna
boy.
say about Kevin
This is gonna
Durant.
be a wild year for sure. Yeah.
It's gonna be a wild year. We know what niggas gonna
Oh
say
man, I
about
can't wait.
Embiid and Harden, regardless of if they are injured, if they're not 100%, or if Doc Rivers coaches them into an exit. We know what niggas gonna say. We know what they're gonna say about LeBron, Curry. We already Jokic. Niggas are lining up the Jokic smoke. We know it already. We know. So when we sit here and say that it's different, sure it's different, but it ain't that much different to where criticism can't be levied to him, especially when all we're asking for is credible criticism. And the things that y'all keep telling me about, to be fair, I don't see the other tweets, but the shit that the gentleman below me put
The
in
hook
under
nigga said,
he quote tweeted me. Two of the things are in the same video. He just took a screenshot of a quote that was him, one of the other
I
in the
just sent
video. In the
4
"Man,
other
I'm
more.
not talking
video,
I
about
just
what
put
that
up
nigga
4
said."
more
So.
because that was
all right, let
crazy.
me
That was a
see.
crazy gaslight right there. Those are just the first
Okay,
4
Lo,
I
can I
found
tell you
catching Luca.
like
Bro, niggas,
this is a hard conversation, Lo, because this
did you
is
watch the
all
videos?
about what your reference point is. And that's what makes it tough. Because from my perspective, I'm
Nigga, he
seeing
put a
people.
bias. He put Will in one of these. Okay, whatever. Go ahead, you go.
Nigga
Yeah,
put
yeah.
a
I'm just
James
saying
Harden
this comes
Rockets
down
fan
ultimately,
as
right,
one
to
of the
what
quotes, bro.
your reference point
That's like
is.
me putting.
For
That's like
me
me defending
personally, I've
Kyrie
been
with a
seeing a
Celtics
lot of
fan
talk
take, bro. Like, come on, be
about
serious.
how Luka is not covered fairly, how he should be held accountable for not making the playoffs, how he's gained a lot of weight since his rookie year. I've been seeing that shit every day for me personally. So I do feel like Luka is being examined and looked at now. If you want to argue the other years, he should have been as well.
Wait, stop,
I
low,
don't know.
stop. Because I just watched an entire video, or just watched an entire video. Since we're citing first take,
Come
I just
on,
watched an
come
entire
on,
video.
come
I just
on.
found a video from Harden in 2015 about Stephen A. blaming Harden's defense for why Kevin McHale was fired. Dog, are we serious, bro?
Come on,
Are we
Ash.
fucking serious?
Come
Are
on, Ash.
we fucking for real, bro? And then we comparing this shit, dog. Nah, get the fuck out of here, man. I don't want to hear any of that shit, bro.
There's no way you muted me over
Yes, I
James
did,
Harden. Ash.
gifted.
Come on,
That's
man.
how we rock in
Come
here.
on,
Bro,
man.
Nigga.
Come
gifted,
on, come
gifted,
on.
gifted, gifted.
Come on. I'm
The
being
Wait,
same
respectful.
Steve, the same
gifted. Let's
Stephen
be
A.
fair here,
The
though.
same
Gifted.
Stephen
Let's
A.
be
who
fair here, though.
said
The
AD
only
was better than Luka
criticism
after
Aren't
gifted
you
last
is
niggas
year.
what I
citing
do.
Kendrick
Wait,
Perkins, bro? That
gifted,
doesn't mean
gifted.
that's
Niggas are
I'm
outside of
citing
your
not citing
Kendrick
control.
Kendrick
Perkins. Like,
Perkins
I just
because
don't
I don't
understand.
watch that
That
Niggas
was
are
stupid
citing.
Cook,
No, wait, no,
nigga.
for
no. Ash.
anybody.
Not only are
Yeah.
niggas citing Kendrick Perkins,
Every
they're
Listen,
nigga
citing
is
they're
citing
citing
Kendrick
AM
though.
hoops. They're citing
yeah,
AM
I'm not.
hoops.
Every nigga is citing Stephen A. Like the main
Okay,
point
no,
is the
but listen,
national media.
gifted,
Them niggas
gifted,
are
gifted.
fucking dumb,
You said
bruh.
national
Like
media.
But
Well,
you
I don't know what
cite
to do.
Kendrick Perkins?
You said national
I
media.
didn't.